Every single day, over $100 billion flows across borders, powering the global economy through one primary currency. This massive movement relies on a foundation of trust that almost every nation on Earth shares today. But what would happen if that trust began to fade, or if countries decided to look elsewhere? For the past 80 years, the US dollar has reigned supreme as the world's primary reserve currency. It is the money that central banks stockpile in their vaults to ensure national financial stability. It is the currency in which oil is priced, and the standard used to settle most global trade. Even today, the dollar accounts for roughly 58% of all foreign exchange reserves held worldwide. Yet, if you look closely at the data, that share has been quietly shrinking over the last decade. Many economists are now watching the charts, wondering if we are approaching a significant financial tipping point. This potential shift is being pushed by three distinct factors that are reshaping how nations interact. The first major pressure point is the sheer scale of America's national debt, which has ballooned significantly. With that figure now climbing past $37 trillion, global investors are starting to ask difficult questions. They are questioning the long-term fiscal stability of the world's most powerful economy. The second factor involves a strategic pivot by major nations like China and Russia. These countries are actively building their own independent financial systems to bypass the dollar entirely. By trading directly with each other, they aim to insulate their economies from U.S. financial influence. The third factor is the growing use of international sanctions as a tool of foreign policy. Recent events have shown that Washington can freeze a nation's dollar assets almost overnight. This has created a sense of vulnerability among countries that rely heavily on the current system. As a result, some nations are now seeking alternatives to avoid being caught in that crossfire. If the dollar were to lose its throne, it is unlikely one single currency would immediately replace it. Instead, we might see the global financial landscape fracture into several distinct currency blocks. We could see a dedicated dollar zone, a competing yuan zone, and perhaps a rising digital currency zone. In this fragmented world, international trade would become significantly more complex than it is today. Every cross-border deal would suddenly require extra currency conversion and carry more inherent risk. These added layers of friction would inevitably increase the cost of doing business globally. For American citizens, these macroeconomic shifts would hit home much faster than one might expect. The U.S. currently enjoys a unique superpower. It can borrow money in its own currency. This is only possible because the rest of the world has a constant, high demand for dollars. If that global demand were to fade, the U.S. government would face a very different reality. To attract lenders, the government would have to offer much higher interest rates on its debt. This would create a ripple effect, making it more expensive for the government to function. At the same time, the cost of importing foreign goods would likely climb for every consumer. The Federal Reserve would also find its ability to maneuver during economic crises severely limited. Everyday costs, from the price of gas to the cost of groceries, could rise simultaneously. Even mortgage rates for homeowners could see a sharp increase as borrowing costs tighten. However, there is a crucial twist that most sensationalist headlines tend to skip over. Almost no serious economist believes that this transition will happen in a sudden, overnight collapse. The global financial system is deeply entrenched, and change is rarely that dramatic. There is currently no clear rival currency ready to step in and take the dollar's place. The euro faces its own internal economic challenges that limit its ability to dominate. The Chinese yuan, while growing, is not yet freely traded enough to be fully trusted. Because of these limitations, the dollar remains the most practical choice for most nations. The more likely path forward is a slow, gradual erosion of influence over many decades. It is a process of steady change rather than a single, catastrophic financial event. The real story here is not that the dollar is dying or disappearing from the map. Instead, The world is moving away from having one single, undisputed financial king. We are transitioning toward a system where a handful of powers compete for influence. This new map will require nations to be more agile and strategic with their reserves. Whoever adapts the fastest to this fragmented reality may gain a long-term advantage. It is a quiet revolution happening in the background of our daily financial lives. Investors and governments alike are already hedging their bets for this new era. The era of total dominance is fading, replaced by a more complex, multipolar landscape. Understanding this shift is key to grasping the future of the global economy. It is a story about how power, trust, and money evolve over long periods of time. As we watch these changes unfold, we must look beyond the immediate headlines. The question remains, which country is best positioned to gain from this transition? I am curious to hear your perspective on which nation stands to benefit the most. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below this video. Don't forget to subscribe so you do not miss our next deep dive into these topics.